Hello guys, this is Doronsmovies and you're watching the 15th episode of the lore Q&A. So today I'll be answering some of the questions you guys left in the previous video, and if you would like to get your questions answered, make sure you either put them on the newest Q&A video or on at least the past few videos, so that I can see them. And also you can send your questions over YouTube personal messages. I usually check those. And the other way of doing it is to send me a question on either Facebook or Twitter, as you have links in the description for that below. Okay, so let's start. Well, there is kind of 3 questions here, but let's just start. So, Source3R asks, are the Forsaken worse than the Orcs? A questline in Hillsbrad has Drektar calling them the evilest of evils, and the Frostwolf clan wouldn't help the Forsaken. Also, are the Orcs of this alternate Draenor worse than our current Forsaken? And the Bleeding Hollow clan sounds pretty worse to me. And the Shattered Hand clan practices self-mutilation and berserker tactics. And are the Forsaken immune to their own plague? Because in Hillsbrad/Sludge Fields, you can see a number of Forsaken troops wearing gas masks, and they were working with a large amount of plague and blight in the area. Alright, so for the first question, well, this is kind of difficult to answer because there isn't exactly a way to measure how evil someone is, but I would say that they aren't evil as the Orcs, because Orcs under the control of Manarat were pretty evil, but today's Orcs aren't exactly evil. They just get a few apples here and there, like Yarash and all of that, but they aren't exactly evil, like trying to conquer the entire world. And also Drektar did call the Forsaken evil because he remembers the war and that he had killed so many innocent people for no reason, or at least without any mercy. And what the Forsaken are doing right now is trying to commit some sort of a genocide and kill a lot of people with their new plague and infest a lot of people, and that is what kind of bothers Drektar the most, because he thought that the Horde has learned from their previous mistakes and that they should stop with mindless killing and murder and try to work to live in peace. Okay, so for the second question, well, the new alternate Orcs aren't exactly as evil as the actual version Orcs, because when they were under the influence of the Taint, they couldn't really think for themselves. Also, the Bleeding Hollow clan was kinda weird, but I generally wouldn't take them as evil, because the Orcs on Draenor before Kill Jaden came weren't really evil. They just had some weird rituals. In the actual world you had like tribes that did some really weird rituals, but I wouldn't really say that they were evil because of it. It's just kind of not the usual. But pretty much like the orc tribes weren't really evil, and their rituals actually, unlike in the real world, their rituals in the Warcraft universe actually worked. So you can't really judge them because of the rituals, because again, it's a fantasy game and you have a lot of groups in the Warcraft universe have a lot of weird rituals, so yeah, I can't really say if the Bleeding Hollow is more evil than the other clans. Okay, and for your last question, well, I would say that the Forsaken are immune to the plague because, they were already affected by it, but I'm guessing the gas masks aren't for the plague, but some sort of toxins and poisons they are producing in order to completely destroy the enemy. So I'm guessing it's not just the plague, but all sorts of chemicals, so I'm guessing those chemicals could actually affect the Forsaken, thus they are using the gas masks. Okay, next on. The Coolest asks, I was wondering that since Orcs have demon blood in them, does that mean that they can't die and can only go to the Twisting Nether? Not really, because Orcs aren't really demons, they were just infected by the blood, which was enraging them and making them stronger while completely ruining their minds. And it wasn't actually turning them into demons. Demons such as the Dreadlords do go into the Twisting Nether and regenerate and can't be actually killed by mortals, or at least only they themselves know how to kill each other. But it pretty much stands that for any demon, that if you kill him, he won't actually die forever, but he will go to the Twisting Nether and regenerate for an unknown amount of time. But I'm guessing that time depends a lot on their power or their size and things of that sort, because like a small demon would most likely regenerate sooner than a demon such as Kill Jaden or Archimond or so. So yeah, but to answer your question, blood-tainted orcs can be killed just like the humans or the dwarves or any other race, and they don't turn into demons. Alright, next, Mr. Fairply asks, Why did Khadgar disappear for so long and did not get involved into WoW until Worlds of Draenor? Well, Khadgar was one of the original members of the expedition that went into Outland and that saved Azeroth from its destruction, because if Draenor exploded and the portal to Azeroth was still open, they would destroy Azeroth as well, and Khadgar actually stopped it. And when Draenor did explode, Khadgar, along with few other known members, such as Dennett, Trollbane, Torellian, Alleria, and a few other people, were trapped there. However, Khadgar had a pretty big role in the Burning Crusade, so I mean you could say that he was involved in WoW since the Burning Crusade, although at this point no one really knows what role he will have in Worlds of Draenor. Alright, continuing on, Jake asks, are you going to do something special for the 100th lore lesson? Alright, so this is a bit of an unrelated to the WoW lore, but I would really wanted to answer it because I did have something in mind. I mean, at first the documentary I made was the plan for the 100th lore lesson because it was going to cover the entire Warcraft history, but yeah, I kind of released that quite a bit earlier, and right now I kind of have an idea for the 100th lore lesson, and I will most likely make a lore lesson on the entire Warcraft 3 storyline. I mean, as a lot of WoW players haven't really played Warcraft 3, or even if they did, they didn't really go through the story or understand it as much. And so yeah, I thought that would be a good idea. And I also had a few ideas about doing the same thing, but for Warcraft 1 or Warcraft 2. So feedback would be quite appreciated on this, as I plan on working quite a bit on it. Okay, next on, Jens Martin asks, do you think that the Argent Crusade had a big fight with the Scarlet Crusade for the control over Khadgar? Okay, so I'm not completely sure on this answer, but I'm guessing there wasn't really a huge epic battle over the city because the Scarlet Crusade was destroyed pretty hard by the Scourge, and even the ones that actually escaped and followed the new expedition into the Northrend were demolished as well. So yeah, I mean, Scarlet Crusade right now is really weak, and even the most of the surviving members were turned into undead or went into hiding. So yeah, I mean, there aren't exactly a force that could make such a fight. And even when the Scourge was defeated, I mean, it wasn't really hard for Tyrion to take over Khadgar. Alright, next, Jalat asks, do you think that the Alliance will ever reclaim Lordaeron and destroy the plague that corrupts the land? Well, I mean, this is a kind of a hard question, as it would be a pure speculation, but honestly, I really don't see it happening because there is a Forsaken starting zone there and the city of the Horde, which is pretty relevant, and also there are like a million quests there and a lot of zones that have a lot of quest lines, and there are a lot of towns there, and all of that would have to be completely scrapped in order to get the Alliance there. And I mean, it's literally kind of hard to do because you can't really do it technically. I mean, you would have to make a new starting zone for the humans there that conquered Lordaeron, and then again you would have to make a new starting zone for the Forsaken, where you would have to make like 5 new zones or 10 new zones, same for both. And I mean, it just takes so much resources that I really don't see Blizzard doing it anytime soon or anytime at all. So yeah, I mean, those resources could go to a new expansion or like multiple patches or such. So yeah, I really don't see it happening. Alright, and the last question is by Taug, and he asks, do you think after the events of Draenor that the Alliance will converge rage and hate for the Horde/Forsaken from the events of Terramore to the point that they will attempt to take back the lands of Khazmodan and Lordaeron? Okay, so this is quite similar to the previous question, but I'm guessing the answer would be pretty much the same on this. I mean, it's not the hate that's the problem, but the humans have been wanting to take over Lordaeron long before Garrosh committed the Terramore crimes or any crimes at all. But I mean, they just couldn't do it because the Forsaken were either too strong or they were supported by the Horde, which really isn't that easy to conquer. And as I previously mentioned, it's mostly due to technical game reasons, because the whole rising hate from the Alliance towards the Horde could play a part in the future, but I don't think the results of it would be that drastic that they would completely change the entire player zones. Okay, and that is all I have for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave your questions either by YouTube messages, Q&A comment section, or Facebook and Twitter, as you have links in the description for that below. Also, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe. Again, thanks for watching and see you next time.